afternoon everyone and welcome back to Wonderland Asylum. We are back today with issue 17, the Hachette partworks release of Titanic, the ship, the legend. Okay, so looking at the magazine as always, we can see there was an article about whether the ship was actually seaworthy, because the sea trials were reduced in an attempt to get it ready quicker. There we go, there's a picture of Olympic alongside Titanic, or Titanic alongside Olympic, depending if you believe the stories. There's a story of one of the barbers, a date with destiny they're calling it. Still the same thing. Someone's family album with postcards, etc. And about the launch of the Titanic. Now that was something that was a little controversial, because despite what was shown in the movie, in fact it's right there, A Night to Remember, Titanic was never actually christened. In fact, it tells you there in the magazine, this scene is entirely invented. The traditional launch ceremony in which a bottle of champagne is broken over the new ship's hull never took place. Yeah, Titanic was never christened. So a lot of people said that's why it was unlucky, was because it didn't have the standard christening a ship normally receives. But anyway, we are now on to the instructions. What are we going to be doing today? Let's take a look at the parts and find out. Okay. So as always, we have our brown box of bits. Let's see what's inside, shall we? As always, tissue paper wrap. There's actually two on this occasion. Normally everything's contained within the one, but not today. And again, for my own reference, nothing else inside the box. So, opening up, first thing we have is some teeny tiny little screws, which can only mean one thing. And we also have the cigarette filter, as I'll call it, and the rest of half of the funnel pieces. And in this package we have parts of the smoke generator assembly. I think that's just the tank. We have the inner sleeve of the funnel, and then we have the piece which slots over the top. Now again, if you remember, last time I showed you how I was getting the screws in, I'll do the same again this time to show you how I put it all together. So that's all the parts we have for this one. So let's get started. Okay, so the first bits we need is aforementioned cigarette filter and the spring, which as you see has a prong protruding out the front, and then it sits like that. Now basically you push this through the middle of the white foamy bit, and essentially what that's there to do is to make sure that the filter gets pushed into the water when you put it in the tank and it gets it nice and soaked. Now what we're doing is taking the tank with the opening upwards and feeding it in spring first. You'll see what I mean. That is essentially what we're having to do. And now we're setting that to one side. That's all we're doing with that for the moment. Now the next thing we need is the funnel inside. And you can see all the screw holes there, and the funnel sleeve. Now again, what I found was the easiest way was to put it around like this, line up the holes on one side and put the screws in, and then fold it round and line the holes on the other side up like that. So I'll get my screws ready and I'll be back in just a tick. Okay, so as I say, what I've done is I've lined the holes up on this side. The first screw is going in the hole just under that slot there. Now I won't make the mistake I did the first time and put screws in every single hole, or at least try to, because that's not what you're meant to do at this stage. These holes are meant for something else, and that will become apparent very shortly. Okay, so the next hole that gets a screw into it. Once I get the screw on the screwdriver properly, is this one down here. So it's not the next one down, it's the one immediately below that. Again, these screws are very short and very small, so they don't take a lot of tightening. Do not be tempted to over tighten them, because all that will happen there is you'll strip the head of the screw out. And it just fits on my PHO screwdriver very, very snugly, and then it's the very, very bottom hole that the next one is going into. Now, what I'd seen some people do as well was, if this method wasn't working for them, what they were doing was, as they folded this round, they were putting cocktail sticks in the back to make sure the holes in the back of the funnel all lined up properly once that was all done. So now all we're doing is pulling the sleeve round and lining up the holes like so, making sure they line up properly, and then screwing the same holes on the other side. So if I can pinch that nice and tight, what I should have done was put the screw on the screwdriver before I folded it round, but I didn't. Right, so again, just screw it in nice and tight, and that should hold the rest of them in place. But I'm keeping it nice and firmly grasped just so it doesn't ping off, because the last thing you want is to rip any of these screws out, and that may well happen if it's only been supported with one screw. But yeah, you can see. There you go, and that final screw is going in there, and as always we have one spare. I did mention previously, I'm very impressed with the detailing on this kind of exterior sleeve for the funnel. They've done it really, really well. A lot of justice done to the funnel. I just wish they'd perhaps been as detailed with certain other bits, but there we go. I've lamented that enough, I think. Okay, so just tighten everything up, because I didn't pull all the screws fully tight until it was all perfectly in. Ow! Stabbed myself with my screwdriver. But there we go. That's how that looks. See, looks pretty good, I think. But that is all we have to do for this stage, and you can see there the holes at the back line up perfectly too. But that's all we have to do, is keep this aside, and there are the other pieces that we've got. There is nothing else to do in this issue. Yeah, we'll have a chat in just a moment. Okay, so that is us, as I say, for issue 17. Coming in issue 18, the rest of the funnel... Oh, no, it's not the rest of the funnel. It's a piece of side plating and some clear detailing. I didn't decide the logic on it. I don't see the logic in it, but hey ho. So that's what we'll be doing next time. That is what we did today. The start of the second funnel. I don't understand why they wouldn't just do what they did last time and give us the full funnel, but, you know, partworks are partworks, it is what it is, I suppose. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all for part 18. Thanks again, and as always, peace out everyone.